Hope everyone enjoys listening. On the wedding night, I counted money until my hands were numb, which helped relieve some of the fatigue of the wedding day. My husband asked, "Why didn't you see my best friend Noyet Nu come to the party?" I went out for a bit and replied she must be working in the big city, working overtime so she couldn't come back in time. My husband shook his head, showed me his phone. "No, she just posted it on this friend circle." The location she checked in was a familiar snack shop in her hometown, with a selfie and a caption, "Still the same old flavor," with a tongue-out emoji. That restaurant was less than 100 meters from the hotel where I held my wedding. I opened her friend circle, only 2 horizontal lines appeared. I immediately opened the chat window, tried to transfer 0.01 yuan so I could enter the password. Not blocked but hidden. But why did she hide my post? I sent her an invitation a week ago, she didn't reply. I thought she was busy. On my wedding day, she didn't even say a word of congratulations. Thinking she must have forgotten, I sent another message. "Honey, why didn't you come to my wedding today? I'm going back to my mother's house in 2 days. Come by if you have time, my mother keeps reminding me of you." Her parents divorced, and when she was in high school, she lived at my house almost every month. Whatever was delicious or good, my mother shared it with her, treating her like her own daughter. When I went to bed, there was still no reply to my messages. My husband glanced at the chat screen with a bunch of shipping codes. "What is this?" He scrolled through the messages I sent her about the specialties. "Did you buy them all?" My husband asked in surprise, then said in a low voice, "She didn't pay you back?" I pouted, pulled the blanket to turn off the light. Let's sleep. I forgot how many years have passed and we were best friends again." My husband sighed helplessly. "My silly wife, you consider her your best friend, but she considers you a chicken to be toyed with." I still consider our relationship very good. When she failed the university entrance exam and went to the city to work, she soon announced that she was getting married. I used all my savings of the semester, 5,000 yuan, to celebrate her wedding, and sincerely wished her well. After that, I went to work. She kept asking me to buy things from her hometown and send them up, not to mention specialties and delicious food. Even sanitary napkins, she said she was only used to using the ones from her hometown, and then she was too embarrassed to go to the supermarket to buy them, so I always ordered them online and sent them directly. I used to send her product links to buy them herself, but she always said she was busy and asked me to buy them for her so she could buy them faster. Thinking about it, it was only a few dozen yuan. I didn't care. But gradually it accumulated, and the amount was not small. Over the years, those small things added up to tens of thousands of yuan, just because I cherished our long-standing relationship and thought that mentioning money would offend. I believe that if I treat someone well, they will remember and never forget. Unexpectedly, 5 years passed, and on the day I got married, she didn't even send me a single message. I felt indescribably upset. When the party at home ended, my mother called me back. "Oh right, Vivi, Noyet Nu came, while you and Dai Bang hadn't arrived yet." My eyes lit up with joy, really. I knew it, she couldn't not come. "Why didn't you call me?" "I haven't met her yet, I'm calling her." I was as happy as a little rabbit jumping around. My mother laughed and said she was so busy she forgot. Noyet Nu said she would transfer the money to her mother, but her phone ran out of battery. She also said she needed the money urgently. My mother immediately took 30,000 VND in cash from the cashier and gave it to her, telling her to transfer the money to me later. Hearing what my mother said, the smile on my face immediately froze. The corners of my lips drooped, looking at my mother fiercely. What she meant was that Noyet Nu hadn't transferred the money yet, but I took 30,000 in cash from her. "That's right, you two are so close." She opened her mouth to ask for money. How could her mother not give it to her? My husband beside her had an icy cold face, full of sarcasm. Our mother and daughter were truly a match made in heaven. One was a sleeping dragon, the other was a phoenix. Noyet Nu's phone rang but no one picked up. WeChat messages went unanswered. Voice and video calls were all ignored. What confused me was that she didn't block me. A month later, Noyet Nu took the initiative to contact me again. She sent me a message on WeChat, complaining that she had been so busy lately, and that the big city was not as comfortable as the countryside. I just sent back an emoticon, trying to convince myself that maybe she was really too busy to forget my wedding day. But then she sent me a message. "Honey, I'm pregnant." Before I could finish typing my congratulations, Another message was sent from the other side. Aren't you going to send me a big red envelope to congratulate me? My hand paused. I read that sentence over and over again. An unknown fire immediately burst into flames in my heart. I just got married last month. I purposely reminded her, also to give her one last chance. Noyet Nu replied. I know, but what does that have to do with me being pregnant? Is it related? Tell me, is it related? What surprised me the most was the sentence I knew. She clearly knew I was getting married, yet she didn't even bother to send me a congratulatory message. No matter how difficult it was, a congratulatory message cost nothing, so it was considered thoughtful. Or was she pretending it never happened? I really didn't understand how she could be so blunt. I always thought that my family and I had never treated her badly, but she just treated me like an idiot, thinking I was brainless. I deleted the 2 words congratulations and retyped. 5 years ago, when you got married, I gave you 5,000 yuan. Now that I'm married, give it back. She was silent for a moment and then texted back. Didn't you give me that 5,000 voluntarily? So what? I really didn't understand what she was trying to say. If you gave it to me voluntarily, why are you asking for it back? I was so speechless by that sentence that I didn't know how to respond for a moment. It was like I suddenly became a bad person, a petty person. I always thought that this was the principle of reciprocity in traditional Chinese culture. From ancient times until now, if you give a blessing, you must give a blessing in return. I sent her wedding money. When it was my turn to get married, she had to reciprocate. Even a little less would have been fine, but she didn't even bother to say a word. What was going on? We weren't strangers. I couldn't accept her way of thinking. I immediately counterattacked. You're pregnant. Why are you asking for my lucky money? If you can't afford it, then leave. Who says I can't afford it? The tone on the other end sounded angry. But I didn't care because I was still angry. You can barely support yourself and still want to ask for money from others? Or are you about to die and want to say something? Are you going to send me to raise your child? Why are you talking so harshly? I just want some luck from you. Didn't you just get married? I'm here for your own good. My brain felt like it had been hit by a complete blackout. What kind of reasoning is this? She had it while she was still pregnant and I had to pay for it? Who does she think she is? Guanyin gave me a child. Guanyin didn't even take the money. I was so angry that my hands were shaking as I typed each word. For my own good, please return the 30,000 my mother lent you. Auntie, isn't that the money your mother gave me to nourish me when I was pregnant? I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. My mother must owe you. Do you think your face is that big? Your mother always said that she treated me like her own daughter, so it's okay to give me a little money. Give me a little money. My mother must owe you. The more you talk, the more shameless you are. Don't plan to pay, right? Then let's calculate it all at once. These past few years you asked me to buy specialties, a total of 2,800,000, plus the 3 million my mother gave in addition to the 5,000 wedding gift money, a total of 6,300,000. Pay it. I still can't swallow this anger, so I sent another message. If you don't pay within 3 days, I will sue you. Being shameless and going all the way is called having a strong mentality. She was shameless and I didn't need to be polite. Tran Noyet Nu blocked all my contacts. I immediately felt like there was no way out. Suddenly, I remembered that every time she asked me to send her special products, it was to the company address. I went to Tran Noyet Nu's company and her colleagues said that she was on leave at home because she was pregnant. I explained clearly that Tran Noyet Nu had borrowed money from the company and did not pay it back immediately, but my colleagues all advised me that there must be some misunderstanding. Normally, Noyet Nu treats others very kindly and often brings us local specialties. That's right, she often gives us good things. There's a very high-quality sanitary napkin. Every month she gives me a few packs. A girl laughed and said, showing that she had great confidence in Tran Noyet Nu's character. At that moment, I understood why she made me buy things every month. I thought she had irregular periods. It turned out that she was taking things I paid for to give to others to build relationships. The one who was being used like an idiot was me. All those things were sent from my hometown. She used the things I bought to show off her generosity to others, and she never paid me for them. But even though I said that, my colleagues still found it hard to believe, impossible. Her boyfriend is. Someone entered the door. The group of people who had just surrounded me immediately dispersed to their desks. I guessed that this was Tran Noyet Nu's superior. I immediately explained the whole story to the man. He frowned slightly and looked around. The staff around him looked a little uncomfortable and pretended to lower their heads and go back to work. The man turned his head to make a phone call, then looked at me from head to toe, his voice calm and reassuring. "Don't worry, if this really happened, the company will absolutely not tolerate it." But then he changed his tone, saying that if she made even half a slanderous statement, we also had the right to pursue legal responsibility. For some reason, the second half of his sentence made me feel threatened, and the man's eyes also became cold. 20 minutes later, Tran Ngoyet Nu arrived. She was dressed elegantly, carrying a designer bag, taking out her vagina and walking straight to me. Her face was full of contempt. I didn't expect her to stick around until here. It's like a dog plaster that won't come off. It's true that the bad guys always gloat first. I don't want to do that either. If you weren't shameless enough to refuse to pay, I wouldn't have come here. I stopped and looked at the leader from earlier. I had evidence that Tran Ngoyet Nu borrowed money and didn't pay it back. But when I took out the evidence to show him, I saw Tran Ngoyet Nu put her arms around the man's arm, hugged him tightly, then leaned closer. "Look, I told you, people in small cities are all petty, pragmatic, and unreasonable." The man gently patted her hand. "Honey, I understand, I'm here, don't worry." Calling the security guard, the man turned around and coldly gave an order. I didn't expect that the leader just now was Tran Ngoyet Nu's husband. Having someone backing her up, Tran Ngoyet Nu became even more arrogant, stepped in front of me, gave me a straight face, her voice full of arrogance, and promised me that if she didn't have money in the future, don't learn from others to go to the village to get married. Fake, her whole family is fake. Don't drag my family into our business. How my family has treated you over the years, don't you know? Tran Ngoyet Nu sneered, looking at me with disdain. What about your family? Didn't you take the opportunity to buy back our house? Now that the house price has increased several times, it's my turn to ask you for money. I really couldn't believe that Tran Ngoyet Nu would bring up the house from many years ago. When her parents were hinting at divorce, the real estate market wasn't as hot as it is now, and neither of them wanted the house, they just wanted money. Not only was the house on the top floor in a serious state of disrepair with a leaky roof, no amenities nearby, and not near a good school, but there was also a dispute over the land title. It couldn't be bought or sold, and even if it was sold, the price would be lower than the market price. At that time, Tran Ngoyet Nu had pneumonia and had to be hospitalized urgently, needing money for treatment, but neither of her parents wanted to spend it, and even took her home. Then my mother went to them, and they clearly said that as long as my mother agreed to buy that house, they would agree to treat Tran Ngoyet Nu, otherwise, they would not let anyone take her away. My mother could not bear to see Tran Ngoyet Nu lying at home waiting to die, so she had to agree to buy that house back at a price higher than the market price, and even signed a contract. For several years after that, no one even rented that house, and after buying it, it was just a pile of trash lying there with no one caring. Later, the old house was renovated, an elevator was installed, and my mother completely renovated it. There was an elementary school nearby that had its teaching quality upgraded, and the land title issue was also resolved, and house prices skyrocketed several times. Tran Ngoyet Nu is jealous of the current value of that house. It is true that you used the phrase fishing in troubled waters, but it is not my mother, it is your parents. Using your life to pressure my mother. My mother is truly blind to save a beast like you. She should have died of pneumonia at home back then instead of wasting air and food until now. Tran Ngoyet Nu doesn't care about old friendship at all, showing such a disgusting face. I can't do anything to her. It was her mother's will. I didn't ask you to be nice to me. My eyes glanced over the steaming cup of coffee on the table. Then I picked it up and sang it straight at Tran Ngoyet Nu. The brown liquid flowed down her hair, causing Tran Ngoyet Nu's false eyelashes to fall down to her eyelids, instantly turning into a layer of smoke on her face. I raised my hand and gave her a loud, crisp slap, causing her to stagger back a step. What kind of foundation is this? Is it melting like porridge? I glanced at the leader beside me. What? She's pregnant and can't bear to spend money, letting her carry a fake bag like this. Tran Ngoyet Nu's face immediately changed, and the man beside her also darkened. He was even more agitated than Chen Yueru, jumping up. What nonsense are you talking about? What fake bag? Security? Where are the security? I just jumped on Chen Yueru. This matter is not over yet. You haven't paid yet, I haven't let you go yet. After being escorted out by the security, I shook their hands off, No one is allowed to restrict my personal freedom, otherwise I have the right to sue you guys. But the guard still held my hand tightly, not moving an inch. Tran Ngoyet Nu warned me in a low voice, promising that when I went to find her mother to get the money, the surveillance room would not record it. That money was voluntarily given to me by her mother. The law doesn't define wedding gifts as loans, right? As for those specialties, you also voluntarily gave them to me, otherwise why have you never mentioned money? I want to see what you can do to me. Even the law is not on your side. Tran Ngoyet Nu's words were like a blow to my chest. It turns out that she was like that on paper because she had calculated everything in advance. I was pushed out of the office building by the security guard, with no way to enter Tran Ngoyet Nu's company anymore. I stopped and saw the leader from earlier hurriedly climbing the stairs. The incident just now was so deceitful, yet he left her behind and went straight to the airport, an international flight at that. It showed that the person he was about to meet was more important than Tran Ngoyet Nu. I hid behind a billboard and heard the leader say on the phone, "Wife, I'm a little late for my flight. I've changed my ticket and will see you and the baby soon. I brought cinnamon cakes for you and the baby. I love you both. Wait for me." Obviously, the person on the other end of the line couldn't be Tran Ngoyet Nu. Her baby hadn't even been born yet, and she was allergic to cinnamon. There was only one possibility. This man had a wife and children abroad. If his wife knew that her good husband was having an affair in the country, how would she react? The corner of my lips lifted slightly. An idea immediately popped into my head. When Tran Ngoyet Nu's husband Ngoyet returned to the country, behind him was his legal wife. In the era of big data, all you need is a phone number to find out all sorts of information. I followed the clues and found Ngo Kien's wife's travel account and sent a private message. I also bribed Ms. Lao Tsong from Tran Ngoyet Nu's company. After hearing my story, she was furious and agreed to help right away, and was so righteous that she even gave me a 100 yuan discount as a thank you. Lao Tsong called Tran Ngoyet Nu to say she found the ring she dropped on the sink in the bathroom, and asked if she wanted to give it to Ngo Kien to take home. When Tran Ngoyet Nu heard that Ngo Kien had gone back to the company without saying a word to her for a few days, she immediately rushed over. Little did she know that in the company, Ngo Kien's official wife was standing in the middle of the crowd declaring her sovereignty. All the employees knew that Tran Ngoyet Nu was nothing more than a useless third party. Ngo Kien was originally a leader transferred from the headquarters, so almost no one knew his background. "Honey, why did you come back so late and not tell me?" Tran Ngoyet Nu rushed towards Ngo Kien, completely unaware of the fierce lioness standing right next to her. "I don't think there's any need to keep this kind of employee." The official wife spoke up. Tran Ngoyet Nu glanced at the woman, full of contempt. Who was she? This was where she could talk to her. General Manager Ngo had not spoken yet. What the hell is she thinking? As soon as she withdrew her words, a slap landed on Tran Ngoyet Nu's face. Because she had been protected by Ngo Kien all this time, Tran Ngoyet Nu had gotten used to being stubborn and considered herself to have encountered a real enemy. She angrily looked at the woman in front of her, unable to believe that she had been slapped for no reason. "Who are you? This crazy woman. How dare you hit me? Aren't you Tran Ngoyet Nu? So what?" Slap. Another slap fell. "I hit you." Tran Ngoyet Nu was completely stunned. Then her hand was about to fight back when Ngo Kien pulled her back from behind. "Husband, she hit me." Tran Ngoyet Nu covered her face and acted spoiled. Ngo Kien was so scared that he couldn't hold back his emotions and pushed her away. "Shut up. Tran Ngoyet Nu, you have a problem with your work style. The company has decided to fire you." Fired? Tran Ngoyet Nu was stunned, not understanding what was going on. At that moment, several elegantly dressed women suddenly rushed in, glanced at the official wife, and immediately rushed towards Tran Ngoyet Nu. This vixen! How dare she seduce someone else's husband? Beat her to death. What a shameless piece of shit. These ladies normally do nothing but shop, travel, and beautify themselves. But their most professional job is beating up the mistress. Thanks to the ladies' team, Tran Ngoyet Nu was knocked to the ground in just a few moves. One person sat on her, another pressed her head, and several others held 2-meter poles and hit her straight on the body. It was not enough to hit her through her clothes. Not knowing who spoke, the whole group immediately jumped on her and pulled her shirt. Don't take off my shirt. I beg you. When men go out, they take it off very quickly. Now they know how to beg. You should have known this day would come. The company employees standing around didn't dare to come near. Everyone quietly returned to their desks but still leaned over to listen. Nowadays, the mistress is worse than a rat crossing the street, being chased and beaten by everyone. Someone took out a pair of clippers from their pocket and shaved Tran Noyet Nu's head, making it look like a Mediterranean bald head. Tran Noyet Nu cried and screamed as she lay on the ground, but the ladies had no intention of stopping. She officially did not come here to show off. She waved her hand and said loudly, "Cripple him, count it to me." A group of people walked on sharp roots, kicking Tran Noyet Nu's stomach. "Blood!" Tran Noyet Nu cried, her hands trembling as she held her stomach. Dark red blood flowed out from under her. Her eyes, carrying the last bit of hope, looked towards No Kien. But at this moment, No Kien could only bow his head and flatter his wife, repeating the same sentence over and over again. "Wife, she really set me up. You know, I can't have children anymore." The last light in Tran Noyet Nu's eyes also went out. She no longer expected anything. The janitor recorded the entire process, allowing me to witness the entire scene of Tran Noyet Nu being punished. She couldn't keep Tran Noyet Nu's child, and No Kien also resolutely contacted her and avoided her. Several times she wanted to rush into the office building, but was pushed away by the security guards, making her a special surveillance target of the building. I secretly infiltrated the building's meal ordering and food delivery groups. While posting pictures, I told stories about how shameless Tran Noyet Nu was. Thanks to word of mouth, her incident spread like wildfire. No company dared to hire Tran Noyet Nu anymore. Who would dare to invite someone like her to be the leader's secretary? It's like asking for trouble. Tran Noyet Nu had no choice but to live in the big city, so she finally changed her wig and returned to her hometown. My husband suddenly told me that he asked his college friend to investigate No Kien's whereabouts. It is said that Tran Noyet Nu blamed everything on No Kien, using her real name to accuse him. She sent the video and text messages when the two were still together to the headquarters, accusing No Kien. The headquarters immediately dealt with No Kien, but because his father-in-law was a high-ranking leader of the headquarters, he was only transferred to work at a foreign company. Why do men only accept such light punishment? I don't pity Tran Noyet Nu, it's just a slap in the face. No Kien presented evidence. What evidence? A sterilization certificate. I stopped being mean for a moment and immediately understood that this meant that Tran Noyet Nu's child was not No Kien's at all. My husband added that Tran Noyet Nu had never actually been married. Perhaps saying she was married to borrow money for the wedding was just an excuse. No wonder I had never heard her mention her husband for so many years. Tran Noyet Nu calculated so carefully but did not know that in No Kien's eyes, she was just a toy. Perhaps he had never been serious with her. My husband shook his head and said, "God has eyes." No Kien had an accident on the way to the airport. He lost control of the accelerator and hit the guardrail, and both he and the car plunged into the abyss. That was even on the news. I immediately felt a chill run down my spine, and a sense of unease rose in my heart. My intuition told me that this was not just an accident. My mother suddenly called Vivi. "Come to our rental house quickly." That house was the one my family had bought from Tran Noyet Nu's parents many years ago. When my husband and I arrived, we saw Tran Noyet Nu standing in front of the door holding a stove, burning paper. "Tran Noyet Nu, what are you doing?" "I also worship my ancestors, so what? My parents died in this house. One was hacked to death, the other hung himself, right on the crossbeam in the house. At that time the floor was covered in blood. The scene was horrifying and unbearable to look at." As soon as she said that, the tenant next door trembled non-stop. "Landlord, how could you do this? When we rented this house, you never said anything like this would happen. This is a scam, return the house compensation." The tenant immediately asked my mother for compensation. My mother also insisted on explaining, "There is no such thing, uncle, she is making it all up." How could I lie? I am the previous owner of this house. How could I joke about my parents' deaths? Perhaps Tran Noyet Nu is the person who hates her parents the most in this world, the ones who left her half dead. For her, spreading a few rumors is a small thing. No matter what my mother said, the tenant still insisted on returning the house immediately. "Tran Noyet Nu, you are too much. How could you and Vivi have known each other for so many years? How could you do such a thing?" If it weren't for your daughter forcing me to this point, would I have ended up like this? The child in my belly is gone, and no rich man would marry me. She must take responsibility for this loss. Why do I have to be so miserable? And she has been spoiled since she was young, loved by everyone, and your family has also benefited from my family. This house is clearly ours. All the good things come to your family. Tran Noyet Nu looked at each of us like that. We all owe her. If my mother hadn't saved you back then, you wouldn't be here alive saying these words. When we bought this house, we paid more than the market price. Why didn't you demand compensation for the damages? How many years have you been working? Have you ever thought about buying this house back? Now that the house prices have increased, have you just remembered that this is your house? I questioned Tran Noyet shamelessly. I could only say that my mother's kindness from back then had finally been rewarded. The child in her belly was not the son of a fool. His wife had forced him to get a sterilization before going abroad. Do you think I'm stupid? The rich are more complicated than you think. When she first got pregnant, he let her quit her job, but in fact he never approved her resignation. Wait enough time, he will use her absence as an excuse to fire her. Keep dreaming. By then you won't even know how you die. My husband coldly told the truth. Tran Noyet seemed to have been stabbed in a sore spot. The corner of her mouth twitched. What did you say? Immediately after, a cold gloom appeared in her eyes, her gaze fell, but it didn't matter anymore. Those who wronged me have all received their retribution. Tran Noyet suddenly raised her head to look at my husband, who had just advised her, and burst out laughing mockingly. You idiot. You've been wearing a green hat for so many years and you still don't know? My husband was scolded and didn't understand what was going on. He turned to look at her and then at me, his face full of confusion. I was also stunned, my eyes wide open. What was going on? I had absolutely no idea. No matter how close I was to my best friend, I never shared that kind of thing. Because I have never done that kind of thing. Seeing my husband and I like that, Tran Noyet seemed even more smug. Her voice was high and sour. She was a woman with 3 hearts. Back then, she liked a hip-hop guy for several years, and as soon as she reached adulthood, she hastily gave herself up, tasted the forbidden fruit, and even got pregnant with another man's child. She was a frivolous woman, a piece of trash. Tran Noyet was like, what nonsense are you talking about? My mother couldn't stand it anymore. Immediately rushed over and slapped her hard, then grabbed the broom and hit her in the mouth, while hitting and shouting, I'll give you this dirty mouth, let me clean your mouth. Tran Noyet stood up and pushed my mother away. Raising such a trashy woman, she wasn't a good person either. I rushed in with her. I had just stood up when a shadow beside me quickly threw a kick, sending Tran Noyet rolling on the ground. She looked towards the stairs behind her, leaned back, and the corner of her mouth rolled down the stairs. It was obvious that she had adjusted her speed, falling down without any injuries, but she just lay there refusing to get up, rolling and screaming. The sound was so seductive that the neighbors all came out to watch. Bullying this person, it hurts me to death. A big man kicked me, my ribs, my shoulder. The people around saw that my husband kicked someone, and seeing Tran Noyet as a woman, immediately spoke up to defend him. After all, he couldn't use his hands or feet. If there was something, he would talk slowly. Take her to the hospital quickly. It's clearly her. I wanted to explain, but it was useless. My family of 3 stood straight in the hallway, while Tran Noyet lay like a log at the foot of the stairs. To outsiders, it looked like my family was clearly in the wrong. She lay on the ground, refusing to get up, insisting that my husband carry her to the hospital. It was as if Tran Noyet's face was so thick that there were no more holes left to pierce. I angrily scolded her, really not understanding what she was up to. You don't have to carry me, she's cold. Then I'll sue your husband for intentional injury. You, my husband, get up and go downstairs, you don't have to carry me. Uncle Vong, let me borrow your stroller for a bit. The neighbor, Uncle Vong, immediately pushed out a small cart. My husband pulled hard, dragging Tran Noyet into the cart. What did he want to do? Do nothing, take her to the hospital. The stairs were a bit bumpy, and it was all the way up to the 6th floor, but it was okay. If there were any broken bones, they would just go to the hospital and have them fixed. 1 would be fixed, 2 would be fixed. At most, I would let her lie face down. After all, her face was thick and her flesh was thick, and she could withstand the impact. As soon as she finished speaking, my husband pulled hard, causing Tran Noyet to roll off the wheelchair and hit her butt on the floor. Hua Wei, are you trying to kill me? Miss, I ask you what will satisfy you. I coldly smiled as I watched her. If she wanted to get off, she would go down herself. If not, she would use a wheelchair. Don't even dream of being carried down by my husband. In the end, Tran Noyet hugged her butt and got off herself. My husband stood below, patted the cart and got in. Tran Noyet's eyes lit up as if she had just seen my husband's Mercedes. This was his car. Could it be hers? My husband didn't bother to pay attention to her, but I caught a glimpse of greed in Tran Noyet's eyes. My mother stood behind me and pulled me back. I was angry and whispered, "Why take her to the hospital? Just let her die." I looked at my husband and smiled meaningfully. If we didn't go to the hospital, how could we continue watching the second play? My husband was busy taking care of everything, including pushing Tran Noyet's wheelchair everywhere. As for Tran Noyet Nu, she gradually changed to a weak and seductive appearance, as if she was seducing someone. She kept acting weak in front of my husband, but my husband did not avoid her, but instead responded to her every move. Brother Bang, I did not want to be like that. It was all because my family had forced me to do it. My husband agreed with her and gently comforted her. Come on, Noyet Nu, you're a woman. Why do you have to be so strong? Tran Noyet Nu took the opportunity to speak while wiping away her tears. You've been struggling in society all these years without your parents' love, and you've only met bad people. You also want someone to love you. You live a decent life, know how to cook and do housework, and you're not promiscuous like those girls who sleep with men at such a young age. It's because I'm stupid and gullible that I was deceived. Noyet Nu, you're not easy. You deserve to be loved by a good man. Really, I'm not. Tran Noyet raised her head. Her eyes filled with affection as she looked at my husband. My husband complained to her again that he had no money, blaming me for being too tight with money this year, to the point that he couldn't spare any money to pay for her hospital bills, because I was still sulking and refusing to give him any money. Seeing my husband confused, Tran Noyet took out her wallet and paid for the hospital bill herself. Hua Wei is not gentle and virtuous. It is not proper to be so strict. Men still have to do great things. Tran Noyet seemed to be criticizing me. My husband also joined in. Yes, I have suffered enough. Tran Noyet secretly rejoiced in her heart. I think she doesn't truly love you. Her mind is filled with the image of her first love. But to be honest, that hip-hop guy has no chance of being compared to you. You are an excellent, polite and educated young man, while that guy looks full of diseases. You must go get a checkup. What if she catches any diseases? And she had an abortion at such a young age. She probably won't be able to have children in the future. My husband listened and nodded his head continuously, completely agreeing with every word that Tran Noyet Nu said, making her even more pleased. My husband even deliberately opened a live stream of some sexy lingerie sellers to watch. While watching, he criticized her, saying that Hua Wei really didn't understand what sex was. It wasn't interesting at all. Tran Noyet Nu glanced over and then lowered her head and smiled, already making a plan in her heart. As soon as Tran Noyet was discharged from the hospital, my husband suggested that she move back to her previous house. After all, it was her house. If the land price increased, my family would have to compensate for the difference, otherwise the house would be returned. Tran Noyet seemed to be beaming when she heard that. Brother, do you really think so? Of course. My husband entered the password into his phone and showed it to her. Tran Noyet immediately moved into the apartment as if she had just been discharged from the hospital. That night, she called my husband and said she wanted to thank him for taking care of her during the past time. My husband immediately called me and asked if everything was ready. I replied that everything was in place. Noyet Nu opened the door. My husband stood in front of the apartment door, knocking on the door and calling. A seductive, coquettish voice came from inside. Come here, please. As soon as the door opened, Tran Noyet seemed to be heavily made up, wearing an extremely provocative black lace lingerie set. Apart from the 3 basic points, everything else was exposed to the point that if she live-streamed, she would definitely be banned immediately. She was still twisting her hair. Her hand stopped on her forehead. Her eyes suddenly widened when she saw behind my husband were more than a dozen people standing on bamboo and knives. Why are you people? Ah, Tran Noyet screamed, quickly turned around to slam the door shut. I kicked the door open with a strong kick, my phone still recording. Tran Noyet was like, who are you dressed like this for? No, I'm not waiting for anyone. Immediately after that, a handcuffing shout rang out, accompanied by the sound of the door being kicked open. How could I have given birth to a despicable thing like you? Dressed like this, it really embarrasses me. The person who barged in was none other than Tran Ngoyet Nu's father. Immediately after, her mother also rushed over, angrily shouting, "What are you doing? Dressed like this, it's so embarrassing." The neighbors around started to gossip. How could the Tran family have given birth to such a daughter? My mother and I just stood by, arms crossed, watching with a cold smile, calmly watching Tran Ngoyet being grabbed by the hair and beaten by her parents. "Mom and Dad, why are you here?" Tran Ngoyet's father roared. "Mom promised Vivi sold this house to me for 200,000 less than the market price." Tran Ngoyet's mother was furious. Where did he get so much money? When we got divorced, he definitely hid the results. "No, half of this house is mine." Her father roared. On what basis can he give it to a slut like her? That year she sold the house, took all the money, and accused me of having an affair, while it was clear that she colluded with someone else to trap me. Tran Ngoyet stood there, her face gloomy, her eyes cold. "All of you go die. God has eyes, you two remarried and still don't have children. When you all die, the property will be mine. No one in this house has any feelings." I stood there, coldly looking, sneering. What brand of computer do you all use? Why is everyone so good at calculating? Tran Ngoyet felt like her parents had beaten her so much that she couldn't even lift her head. "You guys never cared about me before, now you know shame. Back then, you didn't even bother to pay to take me to the hospital, now you have no face to scold me. You guys are not worthy of being my parents." After saying that, Tran Ngoyet got up like a madwoman, grabbed the fruit knife on the table, and madly rushed to stab her parents. With one stab, the knife went straight into her father's stomach. Her mother was scared and tried to run, but her husband grabbed her. He shouted, "Why did you stab me? You son of a bitch deserve to die." Tran Ngoyet's father pulled his wife forward, so that his daughter's knife could stab straight into him. Immediately after, Tran Ngoyet's eyes turned red. She held a knife and rushed towards me. My husband immediately jumped forward, pushed me and my mother behind him, and ran away quickly. When Tran Ngoyet rushed forward, my mother and husband simultaneously covered me. She screamed, her eyes bloodshot, "Why do you people love that useless woman like Vivi? What makes her so loved? Everything you gave her is my debt, give it back to me." My husband did not back down, his voice was firm. "Did she ever think about it? The hip-hop player that Vivi liked back then was me. And the so-called miscarriage was actually a biochemical miscarriage. It was me who was at fault for her, she sacrificed for me." My husband used to practice martial arts, so when Tran Ngoyet rushed over, he immediately kicked the knife out of her hand. My mother was in tears, her voice trembling. "If I knew that saving you would only lead to this kind of hatred, I would have let you die that year. No one owes you anything, don't take other people's help for granted. You're the one who's harming yourself, not anyone else." My husband turned around, intending to close the door, when Tran Ngoyet turned around, intending to run away. But her legs were tightly held by her dying parents. I saw her bend down, searching for the knife on the ground. My husband immediately became alert. There was a strange smell. I quickly pushed everyone downstairs. Just as I ran downstairs, there was a loud bang upstairs, the window glass shattered, glass shards flew everywhere. Outside, the 110 police car rushed over. We came to arrest the suspect Tran Ngoyet as in the intentional murder case related to No Kien's unnatural death. I thought she must have forgotten, so I sent her a text message. "Honey, why didn't you come to my wedding today? I'm going back to my mom's house the day after tomorrow, why don't you come over? Mom said she misses you a lot." The police officer is tall. Is that the apartment that exploded? It turns out that Wu Jian's car was sometimes driven by Chun Yuru. She had discovered that the car's brakes were broken but didn't report it, and even deliberately damaged it, suspecting murder. The police confirmed from the video I recorded that Tran Ngoyet had gotten into a fight with her parents, leading to her death. My mother had sold the house to her father, but he was afraid that my mother would change her mind, so he transferred the money on the same day. So the damage caused by the explosion had nothing to do with my mother. The cause of the explosion was a gas line that needed to be replaced. My mother had reported it to the gas company, but when they came to fix it, Tran Ngoyet chased them away. She was a long-time smoker, so it was normal for her to have a lighter on her person. In the end, things were temporarily quiet. My family returned to our normal life. That morning my husband suddenly asked, "Have you seen my lighter?" It was clearly in my pocket. I smiled faintly and answered vaguely, "It must have fallen somewhere." He didn't know that when he pulled me downstairs, I secretly took the lighter from his pocket and threw it straight into the apartment, which caused the explosion. He didn't know that a month ago my mother had planned to settle things. That day, she even gave me a savings book, and that the money would be given to Noyet Newschild when it was born as a form of help. That was the rent for the apartment for many years. My mother also took out the bottle of water that Tran Noyet New brought last Tet. She said that Viet Quoc water was delicious, but unfortunately her mother had diabetes and didn't dare drink sweets, so she kept it. Anyway, she still remembered her mother in her heart. It was just that she had lost her way for a moment. I accidentally dropped the bucket, causing the bottle of water to spill everywhere. Strangely, the liquid foamed yellow, corroding the floor. I pulled my mother away, horrified at the scorched callus. This was not Viet Quoc water, it was sulfuric acid. The dark color helped hide the solution. I dare not imagine what would happen if my mother drank it. Just thinking about it makes my back shiver. It seems that Tran Noyet New even intends to kill my mother. If I give you a bowl of rice, you will be grateful. If I give you a bushel of rice, you will turn around and harm others. No matter how good you are to an ungrateful person, it will be useless. If you are too kind, this world will eat you to the bone. The most foolish thing in life is to underestimate the evil in people's hearts. I pray that you and I both know how to be kind and also know how to be dirty. Thank you everyone for listening to the story on Jong Tuesday Man Audio Healing Channel. If you find it interesting, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to receive the earliest notifications.